All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rechach Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Knapp, coming out with a lesson, Lord's will. This is edifying to the Lord's elect. Found this video online. It says Martin Luther King's last speech. I've been to the mountaintop. I want to listen to it.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
That's my favorite speech by him, man. You know, that's powerful, man. But let me grab this in the book of Deuteronomy. You know, this was his last speech before he got shot, so that's how you know, he wasn't, the Lord put a spirit on him, man, to say what he said. But a lot of, he mostly is known for gathering people together, the other speech where, where he saw white and black kids together and all that bullshit. Grab this in the book of Deuteronomy 13:1. Shun idolatry. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. So that's pretty much what Martin Luther King was doing at first. He was trying to get us to pretty much be one with the heathen. Okay, so that's where he was going off. But right before he died, he had that epiphany, and the Lord, he said the Lord, he showed him the glory of the Lord and the mountaintop and the promised land, and when a man don't care about his life anymore, hey man, that's powerful. That's powerful. I wonder how he even came to that conclusion. Deuteronomy 13:3, thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord Yahweh your God proveth you to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. So you're not supposed to hearken to someone that, a dreamer of dreams. That was his main speech. I had a dream, trying to gather us to live peacefully together in Babylon. Then you find out, when you look more into him, that he was pretty much working with them boys, man. So Esau always was trying to set somebody up to misguide the sheep. But behind the scenes, this nigga's paying people off, getting people shot, setting people up, causing all types of chaos. He didn't want you coming back to the Lord. Deuteronomy 13:4, ye shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. So we got to cleave unto the Heavenly Father and through his Son, Yahweh Shai. That's why we have this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding now, because he raised up men to teach the word. And through the teaching, that's how we believed again, bringing us back to the remembrance of who we are. He didn't do that. He wanted to kind of let bygones be bygones and see if we can move forward and on an even scale, kind of put everything behind us. But the Lord, he don't think like that. Okay, he required that which pass. He'll never at all acquit the wicked. Okay, so once you understand what the Heavenly Father is about and his Son, then you start to realize that Martin Luther King was going off. And it tells you in the book of Job 12 verse 16 that the deceived and the deceiver are his. So it wasn't by his own, it was all because of prophecy. A lot of the things that and that's probably what the Lord put in his spirit to do at that time, and then revealed to him that it ain't about what you talking about. Okay, just set him up to be in a position to bring about the rest of us, kind of prospering in this world for a moment in time. But it was all a dream. It was fake, But now that we can look back on it and have an understanding of the scriptures, we can learn from it. Because there's going to be more people coming out claiming to want to help and, probably come up with some new doctrine, that everyone can rally behind. But if it don't line up with the scriptures, we ain't falling for it anymore. And that's why you're seeing people more. The Black Panthers are coming back out, just weird shit's going on. So you got to stay firm in the Lord. Deuteronomy 13 verse 5, and that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he have spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. So that's why he pretty much died. Okay, because he was turning you away from the Lord. The Lord didn't want you to be equal to Esau, Edom. Okay, Esau is the basis of men. We're not equal to him. Okay, we're better than him. Okay, let me grab that in the book of Deuteronomy 7 and 8. But because the Lord Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, have the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So like I should have started up. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. But, Martin Luther King was trying to make you be equal with a nigga that's base. Nah, you're supposed to teach them the truth, man. You're supposed to tell them, bring them back to the Father, not lead them to be like this damn heathen. This nigga's wicked. I'm talking about Esau. Their whole nation, we're better than them. Yeah, we're suffering, but in the end, he gonna be suffering. Okay. what's that? Jeremiah. I forgot what the precept is, but it talks about trimming your ways. Trimmest. See if it pops up. Jeremiah 2, verse 33. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. So we're trimming. That's what he wanted you. He wanted you to trim your ways to seek love from the so-called white man. When you're better than him. Why are you supposed to seek love? You don't need to seek love from him. He hates you, you hate it. That's your enemy. And you should know that. It is what it is. This is what the Lord said. Let me grab something in the book of Maccabees. Where the heathen, what does he say? Where the heathen, I think I'm thinking about 2 Maccabees, the 6th chapter. Where the heathen customs, Jonathan, KJV, Maccabees. I'm thinking is it 3? Jonathan, I forgot the precept, but Jonathan pretty much says that the heathen, the Greek customs, Greek fashions, I think it says, where's that precept at? Yeah, the 4th chapter. Let's go to 2 Maccabees 4. I'm going to start at the top. 2 Maccabees 4, verse 1. This Simon now, of whom we spake afore, having been a betrayer of the money, and of his country slandered Onias, as if he had terrified Heliodorus, and been the worker of these evils. Thus was he bold to call him a traitor, that had deserved well of the city, and tendered his own nation, and was so zealous of the laws. But when their hatred went so far that by one of Simon's faction murders were committed, Onias, seeing the danger of this contention, in that Apollonius, as being the governor of Syria, and Phineas did rage and increase Simon's malice. So when you look into this, Simon is accusing Onias of all types of ungodliness to one of the heathen rulers at the time, trying to get into his ear to destroy Onias. 2 Maccabees 4, verse 5, he went to the king not to be an accuser of his countrymen, but seeking the good of all, both public and private. So Onias went to that same governor, and he knew that these accusations that were against him were going to bring him to naught. So he tried to go and speak to Apollonius. Let's look him up real quick. I don't know if he's a governor. Let's see who he is. What's his title? The great geometer, known for conic sections, ellipses. Apollonius refers to several significant figures, most notable. 2 Maccabees 4. The governor of, he's the governor of Coel-Syria in Phoenicia, which I just read. So he's trying to save face with him. 2 Maccabees 4 verse 5, he went to the king not to be an accuser of his countrymen, but seeking the good of all, both public and private. For he saw that it was impossible that the state should continue quiet, and Simon leave his folly, unless the king did look thereunto. But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be the high priest. promising unto the king by intercession 360 talents of silver, and of another revenue 80 talents. So Jason, the brother of Onias, labored under him to be the high priest. Onias is the high priest. Okay, let's look him up. So his brother's trying to labor under him to get it, and promising him money. Onias Simonides was the high priest. Second Maccabees 4. Onias was the virtuous high priest replaced by his corrupt brother Jason through bribery, who in turn was usurped by Menelaus, another opportunist who promised even more money to the Syrian king, leading to great strife in the eventual Maccabean revolt, with the true heir being Onias' young son Onias III, or the fourth, Salakia, who later established his own temple in Egypt. So there's a lot going on, but when you have the priesthood, there's a lot of money involved with that. So, it was easy to gain favor with these heathen nations, because if they set you up in that area, they knew they would get a cut from all the proceeds. Second Maccabees chapter 4, verse 8, promising unto the king by intercession 360 talents of silver, and of another revenue 80 talents. So he offered, hey, if you give me the high priesthood, man, I can get you a lot of money. Beside this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians, whatever. So he was trying to set up, he wanted to train Israel to become more like the Greeks, setting up a place of exercise. That's all Greek. Second Maccabees 4, verse 10, which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashions. And that's sort of like what MLK was doing. Pretty much getting you more in the mindset of being here, instead of going where we belong, which is the promised land. So Esau always set up leaders that'll get you more conformed to this world, to this place. He wanted your mind here. He didn't want you thinking about going to the promised land. He wanted you to continue to be cut off from your heritage. He didn't want you to know who you are and all that. He wants you to be here under his rulership. Let his wicked ass rule over you. Second Maccabees 4 and 11, and the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid. He took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. So, he had them wearing Greek customs, wearing hats, just like you see today. People wear hats. Sakari was known to wear hats, with what's his face? I can't even remember his name. He's been out the picture so long. The leader of Sakari. Now such was the height of Greek fashions and increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest. So, these Israelites who sold out get you conformed to this world by taking the bag and trading with the heathen. Okay, so it says an increase of heathenish manners, and that's the state that we were in all the way up to the point the Lord raised up the apostles and elders on down, giving us this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to know the difference between who's serving the Most High and who's not. Malachi 3, verse 16, then they that fear the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that fear the Lord and that thought upon his name. And that's why we, if you follow Great Millstone, there's a high emphasis on the name of the Lord. Okay, that's pretty much, if that's probably talked about more than the MOTB, is the name of the Lord. And I say a close second is the MOTB. Okay, but it starts with the name. You got to know the name of the Lord. Because once you know that, then that's a sign that the Lord possibly could be dealing with you. But if you're denying the name, then there's some demons on you. Malachi 3 verse 17, and they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. So now we're serving him. We're not following these other leaders who are leading us to follow Esau, who's just going to lead you to death. And I can't remember which speech he said that he was leading you into a burning house. But that's the best way to describe this place. It's a burning house. It's literally going to burn up. The Lord's going to set a fire to this place. And we're warning you to get out of that house spiritually before it burns. Malachi 3 verse 18, then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. And the way you're going to be able to discern is by having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of what the Lord's word. And through your understanding, you'll know who's serving and who's not. But if you don't have any knowledge, how are you going to be able to discern? But enough of him. Don Lemon.
Former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been warned by the Justice Department over allegations he joined a swarm of anti-ICE protesters who burst into a Minnesota church in the middle of Sunday service and accused a pastor of working with ICE. Lemon, who has been documenting the increasingly violent protests following the shooting of Renee Nicole Good, live-streamed himself alongside demonstrators with the Racial Justice Network storming into the city's church in St. Paul, Minnesota, as they called out resident pastor David Eastwood, whom they accused of moonlighting as the acting field office director for ICE in the North Star State. A David Eastwood is listed as an employee with the local field office. However, the Post could not independently confirm whether he was the same person who heads up city's church. Eastwood was not at the Sunday service. Some service disruptors chanted slogans heard at the dozens of other protests that have wreaked havoc around Minneapolis, while others specifically slandered Eastwood for supposedly misrepresenting the ideals of his faith through his support for ICE. Lemon spoke with the congregation's lead pastor, Jonathan Parnell, who said the bombardment was shameful.
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
The Department of Justice is probing the demonstration at the church for potential violation of civil rights laws, specifically for interfering with Christian worshipers, according to a post on X. Harmeet Dillon, the Justice Department's Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, chided Lemon on social media. A house of worship is not a public forum for your protests. It is a space protected from exactly such acts by federal, criminal, and civil laws.
That's not true. Duck said he would go get immigrants in those churches too. So that already violates what you're talking about.
Does the First Amendment protect your pseudo-journalism of disrupting a prayer service? You are on notice, she wrote. In a follow-up post, she noted that the FBI has been activated and accused the protesters of desecrating a house of worship. Lemon has dismissed calls for him to be prosecuted for joining in with the group and defended his actions as protected under the First Amendment. The MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true, Lemon said, claiming he had no affiliations with the organization, defending his actions as, quote, an act of journalism.
Lord's not dealing with these churches, man.
Disappear until...
Let me grab this in the book of Acts 7 and 48. You're not dealing with these churches. All right? That's number one. Acts chapter 7, verse 48. I'm just going to get to the point. It says, howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet, Heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, saith the Lord, or what is the place of my rest? Have not my hands made all these things? So he's dealing with his elect. Long story short, we're the temple that's being built up. He's building us up. All right. That's number one. Number two, these heathen have no clue about the Lord. Number three, Don Lemon. Let me look up Don Lemon. Is Don Lemon homosexual? Yes. That's all I wanted to know. So he's not dealing with that church, none of these churches, unless, because he's within you, okay, within his believers, and he has who he has, trusting and believing in him. The rest of these heathen, they gonna keep believing in that nonsense. We trying to call you out of that place, man, because there's a bunch of confusion now. Protesters are going into church. You know, you got Don Lemon coming in there doing interviews. That place is done, man. Oh, let me look this up. What's this? Yeah, let's watch this. What I find this at? It says, watch ICE mercilessly take down dancing fox protester. This is foolishness. You telling me these heathen ain't really beasts? They just had like a furry, I forgot what they call it, a furry, was there a furry convention in Boston? Yes, Boston hosts an annual furry convention called Anthro New England, a major event for anthropomorphic animal fans, featuring art panels, music, and fundraising for local charities, held at the Westin Boston Seaport and attracting thousands of attendees from across the country. So this was in Boston yesterday. If you saw a bunch of people wearing animal clothing and shit like that, they do this every year, and it probably wasn't just in Boston. That's what got me even seeing somebody wearing some shit like this. This was a bunch of Edomites showing you that's just in their spirit. They actually are beasts. These heathen actually are beasts. And Esau got the nerve to call y'all beasts, man. That's funny as hell, but he's actually a beast. He said, "You fucking bastards."
I like that.
All right, the clowns are here. I like it. Are you guys warm in there? Why don't you get out of your car and breathe in solidarity with the American people?
Don't forget Christina.
Cardio do you good.
Give me that. This one?
I always love
You can hold this, okay?
Yeah, just showing everything like.
You want to prop it up here? Because I got to go like this. This one.
You know I'm in a database. Oh yeah, fucking Pete Heggs ass people got my picture.
Yeah, they've also been infiltrating the crowd, you guys.
Oh, in the social media, yeah. They know who you are. Oh yeah.
Stay behind the line and put the youth at the
Trump's still polling well with working class American pedophiles. That's a good one. So it shows you the type of
In fact,
madness that's going on right now, man. Got foxes dancing in front of police. You know, let me grab this in the book of Ecclesiastes 3, verse 15 real quick. It says, no. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 18. I said in my heart concerning the estates of the Son of Men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. And that's, you can see that not just because they're wearing costumes like little kids. It's mostly that their understanding of the Lord and what his will is, they have no understanding. They're out there protesting. These same people will tell you they're Christian and they believe in the Bible, but they don't understand what's written therein. Okay, what else I wanted to grab? I think Luke 13, verse 32. Actually, I'll start up. Luke 13 and 31. The same day there came certain of the Pharisees, saying unto him, Get thee out and depart hence, for Herod would kill thee. And he said unto them, Go ye and tell that fox, Behold, I cast out devils, and I do cures today and tomorrow, and the third day I shall be perfected. Nevertheless, I must walk today and tomorrow and the day following, for it cannot be that a prophet perish out of Jerusalem. So the Lord said he wasn't scared to go serve. That's what he's supposed to be doing, man. He's doing his will of the Father. He's teaching the word, you know, and he wasn't scared of the powers that be. Even though his life was on the line, he still went and taught the word. That's the type of authority that Yahweh Shai, type of power he was walking in. He told you he was about his Father's business, and that's what the elect are going to be on, the same thing. He manifested his name unto them. They're not glorifying the name of the Father by you going out and protesting and looking like a damn. They don't care about the Lord. They're fools. All right. Let me grab this on X. It says European. This is from 7 News Sydney. It says European leaders are uniting against Donald Duck after he threatened new tariffs on allies over his push to take control of Greenland, prompting urgent talks and warnings that the EU could retaliate with its so-called trade bazooka. Now, when you read it, it says anti-coercion instrument. It says the anti-coercion instrument, ACI, also called the trade bazooka, is a regulation of the European Union proposed in December 2021, adopted in November 2023, and entering into force on 27th of December 2023. It aims to protect the EU and its member states from economic coercion by third countries and provides a framework for EU action, including examination, engagement, and the adoption of countermeasures. So let's see what he says.
Europe is uniting again. Europe is uniting against Donald Trump as he raises the stakes in his mission to take over Greenland. Officials held urgent talks in Belgium after the US president promised to hit his supposed allies with new tariffs if they don't back his plan. They've now threatened to activate the European Union's so-called trade bazooka in retaliation.
While the president spent the day golfing in Florida, crisis talks were underway in Brussels. Europe weighing retaliatory options against Donald Trump after his latest tariff threat.
It's clear that with Donald Trump, it's no longer about the law, it's about force.
The president threatening 8 European nations with additional tariffs of up to 25% if they don't support a US takeover of Greenland, a move they've labelled blackmail.
I believe that the Europeans will understand that this is best for Greenland, best for Europe, and best for the United States.
But they don't see it that way, warning tariff threats undermine transatlantic relations and risk a dangerous downward spiral.
And you know what? What makes you think the nigga's gonna stop at Greenland? He gonna want to take over Europe too. He wants the whole world, man. Okay? He wants Russia. He wants it all. He ain't gonna stop at Greenland. You give him that, He's gonna go take everything. Okay, he's a cancer of the earth. And that's what people are starting to see. And he'll do it to his own people, so how much you people that ain't eat them?
An increase in tariffs against those nations is a mistake.
The EU now considering triggering its so-called trade bazooka for the first time, a powerful tool that allows the bloc to punish unfriendly countries with wide-ranging financial, licensing and trade restrictions.
The governments are realizing we have to put our foot down, otherwise this will never end.
Leverage they'll use in critical meetings with the president at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland this week.
And they said while Donald Duck was at Mar-a-Lago playing golf, they plotting on his downfall.
But the White House is adamant. America must have the Arctic island, which is a Danish territory, for national security.
Europeans project weakness, the U.S. projects strength. So America has to be in control here.
Confident Europe will come around, but there's little sign of that. In the United States, Rob Scott, 7 News.
He said Europe projects weakness. Yeah, that's funny as hell to me, man. You know, so long story short, you seeing that divide with Europe and NATO. They align with each other. That's the seven heads, and that's the beast in the seven heads. But it's the whore that's, you know, trying to kind of overstep her boundaries. So now they're thinking, shit, if we don't stop here on Greenland, man, this shit's gonna escalate. And if he'll attack Greenland, he'll attack any of his allies. What's this? ABC News, Trump ties escalating push for Greenland to Nobel Peace Prize snub. Let me see what
President Trump's threat to take over Greenland. In an effort by Norway to defuse the situation, the president responding to Norway with a text reminding Norway that President Trump was not given the Nobel Peace Prize. The president now linking the Nobel snub to his threat to take Greenland, while protesters overseas are now wearing red caps that say, "Make America go away." Mary Bruce at the White House tonight.
Tonight, President Trump lashing out at NATO allies as he escalates his push for Greenland, saying because he did not win the Nobel Peace Prize, he no longer feels, quote, an obligation to think purely of peace.
So now that he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, so now he don't feel obligated for peace now. Full of shit, man.
It came after Norway's prime minister texted Trump pleading we all should work to take this down and de-escalate, proposing a phone call to talk it out. Instead, Trump texting back, "Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace."
8 wars plus. Now he don't feel obligated. If you only gave him that piece of paper, he wouldn't have went to war with you. He's full of shit, man. He was gonna go to war with you anyway.
Though it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. He's very preoccupied with the Nobel Peace Prize, Norway's prime minister told reporters, and I've explained to him many times that it's an award given by a Norwegian committee, not by the Norwegian government. America's NATO allies rattled as Trump sounds increasingly determined to own Greenland, which has been part of the Kingdom of Denmark for more than 300 years. In Copenhagen, thousands taking to the streets, wearing Trump's signature red hats, these saying, "Make America go away."
Oh, shit, man. That's funny. Make America go away.
8 NATO countries, including France, Germany, and the UK, moving forces to Greenland as a show of support. Over the weekend, Trump threatening new tariffs on those countries, 10% in February, jumping to 25% in June, until a, quote, deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland.
The use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong.
And tomorrow, President
Oh,
Trump heads
really?
to Europe for the World Economic Forum in Davos. It's there he's supposed to unveil his Board of Peace. One leader invited to join the group, Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, the board is intended to help...
Yeah, but he got to pay $1 billion. He trying to dig in everybody's pocket. You know you want to build a golf course there. You know, I'm going to build the Trump Towers. You can build, you can build a mini Moscow, a little Moscow town over there if you want to. Just hit me up with $1 billion.
Build Gaza, but Trump seems to have larger ambitions that go far beyond just that conflict, David.
Mary, we're starting another week at the White House, Mary. Thank you.
He's full of shit, man. But I want to listen to Keir Starmer because Keir Starmer's supposed to... He should be speaking up against Greenland. He should be giving you... This is, Prime Minister of the UK. He should be telling you, listen, we need to do something about this. We can't allow the duck to come in here and just take things over. So let's see what he's talking about.
Prime Minister, many people watching this at home will have been shocked and angry over the weekend that our so-called closest ally is threatening us if we try to stop him illegally annexing Greenland. Is this the most serious crisis in the transatlantic relationship in decades? And how can the US remain our closest ally when it's bullying us like this? And just on tariffs, you say they are completely wrong and it will hurt the British economy, but if Trump does go ahead, to be clear, are you telling the British people that we will have to take that economic pain, and are you planning retaliatory tariffs if that happens?
Thank you, Beth. And firstly, to underscore your point, this has been very badly received across the United Kingdom. We're allies of the United States. And we work closely with them, and therefore I'm not surprised by the reaction that's been across the United Kingdom, and it is a very serious situation. Our job is to ensure that we find a way forward consistent with our principles and our values, and consistent with our national interest. And the US remains a close ally on defence, on security, and on intelligence, on nuclear capability. We work very closely with the United States, and we must never lose sight of our national interest in that. But we must stand up for our values. We must be clear about the principles that we are applying here, and will continue to do so. On the question of tariffs, a tariff war isn't in anybody's interests. And therefore, what I want to do is to avoid a tariff war, because it will be businesses, workers and families across the country that will be hit by a trade war. And therefore, I will do as I've set out, which is to engage with our European allies, with President Trump. And Chris, in response to the second part of your question, I spoke to President Trump yesterday, as I think you all know, and I'll no doubt speak to him again in coming days. Continually, our offices talk all the time, but we must find a pragmatic, sensible, sustained way through this that avoids some of the consequences that will be very serious for our country. Thank you very much, Beth.
So
it's so easy.
He's not gonna do anything. He's gonna cop out real early in the game. So, he probably telling the duck, listen, don't send no tariffs over here. What do you want me to say? I think it's good in our we think it's good that you take over Greenland. It'll help security. He'll play along with it, but not all EU. Clearly, they might. Not everyone feels the same. But this is the types of talks that are being had. He might try to play defense, but eventually they're going to all do what the Lord told them to do. However it plays out, the end of it is they're going to fulfill the will of the Lord. And I'm going to end it here. Lord's will.